Um, we're gonna continue to talk about basically what I'm trying to relate what Yahuwah has allowed me to say about certain things that Yahuwah been dealing with me about mainly about things he's been showing me in script and how he's dealing with us at this moment. How he has a desire to deal with all of us in that manner that are his sons and daughters, and what those requirements to be a son and daughter are, right? So, but as we get into that, we're gonna talk about something that we talked about really last week. So, Zach Zuckerberg, the guy talks like this. It's like, hey, yeah, Facebook now. But anyway, so the book has changed the meta. Now, when this happened, I was talking to Siri Yahoo, and as soon as he said it, I was like, hold up. Yahuwah started flashing everything in my head, and I was like, oh, I didn't even know was coming or nothing. But Yahuwah started lining up everything. He's like, oh, it's about this online context. It's the implementation of the other things that they've been slowly putting. I don't know if you've been looking at this stuff called the Oculus, the video games on Facebook. That's the first step to it. And they partner with that. Oculus has this VR technology because the thing is what they want to do is bring. I didn't even see no video on this. He said it, and this one stuff coming to my mind is to have everybody live in a social world online. Basically, people are already doing it with multiplayer video games, but this is going to be a whole nother level. It's going to be the end of their society. I say their society because I don't claim the society, right? It's going to be the end of their society. It's a movie called The Surrogates. I don't know if y'all ever seen that movie. Yeah, but in the movie The Surrogates, that's exactly what happens. They get some other movies like that, like Ready Player One, some other movies that's similar to that. But in The Surrogates, they really show how deprived everything got. Because what happened is people would just live through avatars in this virtual world. And it wasn't like a game world. It was a literal world. It's almost it looked like The Matrix. People have their lives within this world, and they'll live in these chambers in their home that they would, almost like these virtual hyperbaric chambers, and deal with each other online. And then what happened is these people started to atrophy. Their bodies began to decay. Say again? What was? Oh, Wally was like that too? Okay, yeah. I know. So in The Circus, the same way. So it was men, it might have been a 300-pound man, and he will live as a supermodel in that world, a supermodel woman. And then we'll have online intercourse with other men. Yeah. That's easily possible with this technology. Easily. This is why I'm telling you that this is like Pandora's box. When they open this, do you know that I seen it after I read up on this, Mark Zuckerberg was saying that he don't even know. It said they don't even fully have rights to this. Nobody has full rights to this metaverse that they building. But and like in the demonstration he had like a little toony avatar, like people do on Facebook when they make cartoon images and stuff like that. But as soon as he said that, before he even said that, I was like, this is going to be hyper real because when I heard the word meta, I told you about this a while back. So it's this company called Unreal. So if you my age and you remember when PlayStation came out, PlayStation had this game called Unreal Tournament. So Unreal Tournament became like a real popular game. Then the company who created Unreal started making a game engine. If you know what a game engine is what they build other games around, right? The realism, the world, how it interacts, all that stuff is in the game engine. So Unreal came out with a new engine called Meta recently. And Meta is so hyper real that you gotta squint your eyes sometimes to make sure it's not a human. So when he said that, I was like, man, they're gonna combine that same technology. That hyper real technology that they're doing with Unreal, they're gonna combine that with the Oculus. They're gonna make this online world, and it's gonna be just debauchery. Because it already is. The internet is debauchery is the least you can say about the internet. People get traffic on the internet, pedophiles on the internet, all kind of just wickedness on the internet. So imagine a virtual world where people can go in there and do that basically in person. Dude was saying that you can go to your favorite person's concert. You wear these glasses and put them on, and you can go to a concert and and virtually see that person like they hologram while they with you at the concert. Right? So trying to keep this as G-rated as possible. So the number one market for this is going to be lust. Telling y'all. It's gonna be people that's gonna go into this when it's fully functional, and they not gonna come out. They gonna that's gonna be their entire life. So it's interesting that and I was talking to Maury Malu. We was talking about this, and remember I just the other service I told y'all about Maxine and how it's this German scientist or whatever. He had a couple of the vials, and in one of the vials he found this thing, this life form that's aluminum based life form, which that don't exist on Earth. But it's aluminum based life form that had like this head and these tentacles that was like 20 times as long as the actual body, right? And so when you look at that, and I told y'all, I said, y'all realize that's what those things were in the Matrix. They call them sentinels. So it's the sentinels that take the people and put them in the pods when they're born into the Matrix and attach them to that online world. So it's interesting that these things being found in the vial, and now all of a sudden they're unleashing the Matrix. This is the Matrix. I want everybody to know this is literally the beginning of what of the concept of the real life Matrix. Exactly. So listen, check this out. So soon as I seen this, the company came out. It's called, I'll give you the name for that in a minute. The name is wild. And they partner with Facebook already. And what they're saying is that they're going to provide what they call online servants in that universe. Right? So that's what they called it, online servants. So they got a video online. I'm gonna play the video there and let me download it. So I took screenshots. So in the video, it has, like I told you, with this that new Unreal engine, it's literally Unreal, right? And so they had just a script that was read off by a computer, and they had the mouth, the body and mannerisms, even in some of the inflections, matched up with this AI. And so when you see this, these people look real and actually talk to you, but you know it's a computer because it talks like this when it talks, how the computer talks. But imagine if this is your avatar and it's a person's voice. Hold on a second. Imagine if this is a person's voice. If it's a person's voice and this thing is lined up accurately and there's no delay or buffering, then literally that's another dimension. And it's funny because they try to mimic black people, but it's like they can't completely exactly mimic black people, but they had them white people down pat. Almost like a photo, don't it? So I wish I could show you the photo, like all the movements. Now the voice, of course, is the robotic because it's a robotic. It's like a computer script that they're reading off of. But so these are the people that they kind of put as, they call them servants inside of this virtual world, which is basically the beginning of the Matrix. Right? So these things are upon you. Up until now, it's been conspiracy theory. Now it's here. What do you think? The purpose of Facebook from its inception was this. Ever since Facebook shifted from being a college network website to being this social platform that demolished every other possible social platform. Because y'all, Facebook wasn't the only social platform. It was all kind of. MySpace was the number one thing in the world for I don't know how minute. Black people was on Black Planet. Black Planet was like that, right? So it was all these other social networks, but Facebook just just bodied all of them and then took over. And then they started bodying other apps like Instagram and all this other stuff. Twitter, I don't know if they got Twitter yet. Snapchat, Vine, WhatsApp. Yeah, WhatsApp. And so they got, so now they've become this big conglomerate of social media. They got all your information. They got all the data to make virtual people. They can make a virtual one of every last one of you. That's why I keep telling you, watch what you put on Facebook. Because they got a psychological profile for every last one of y'all. I know because I use it. Try to come to this assembly. I'm going like, what's this person doing on their Facebook? Because I know it's profiling. I can go down and say, oh. Because the thing is, going back to this whole soul tie that people have with Babylon, is that there's this insatiable urge on Facebook to post things people cannot stop. They can't. It can be stuff that incriminate them. They still got to do it. It's like they got diarrhea of the fingers. And they have to type these things. They have to say these things. They got to make these comments. They got to post every little element of their life. They stomped their toe. They bought a cheeseburger. I mean, if for real, that's how it is. And what it is narcissism. Being real with you, it's narcissism. It's so their whole platform. And what I'm talking about is people that use it in that way. If you don't use it that way, this don't apply to you. The people that use it in that way is narcissism. They've infected you with the mindset of me. So people will do extra, or do whatever they're trying to do to be seen in their platform. But saying it to say, so this company is called Soul Machines. Soul Machines. They already partnered with Facebook. This is what the avatars of people are going to look like on Facebook. Give it, I don't know how long it'll take. It ain't going to be long. Because Soul Machine already got this technology and rocking with it. It's just going to be about you using it to be whoever you want to be in this dimension. Because it's a dimension. This is the thing I want to tell y'all too, this because I didn't put this in the lesson. Oh yeah, here go another one. So this is the thing about a human and about ruachs, right? So when they create this verse, this universe, it's this movie that I'm just watching movies. It's a movie called Free Guy. Yeah, I don't know if y'all saw it. I know Ox said he saw it. Most people don't saw it. So in Free Guy, it's about this video game. It's like Fortnite. Everybody know about Fortnite, right? Right, multiplayer. So it's a game like Fortnite, and it's this code that was written from this other like online big sprawling world, kind of like the metaverse, right? And they was trying to make it like they AI like mad advanced. They were trying to have it be almost like self-aware, but they got bought off from another company. So somebody hid. I'm telling you the plot now. Hid that code. Spoiler alert. Hid that code inside of another game. So it just so happened that game is like Fortnite. So sad to say this. So in the game, there's these characters. There's playable characters and there's non-playable characters in every game. Now, because every game now is like these big worlds, and you going from city to city, and you have these maps and stuff, right? So in this game, it's this non-playable character, and a non-playable character is somebody like to be walking down the street, right? You a superhero, and there's somebody walking out of a store. That's a non-playable character. You can't play the person that walks out the store, right? So the non-playable character basically gets a hope to that AI and becomes self-aware, right? So when a non-playable character becomes self-aware, he all of a sudden starts to fight against people that's playing the game. Everybody in the real world, think it's somebody that's online playing with them, because they don't know. They're like, ain't no way this self-aware video game is somebody else, another kid in some other country playing this same game. So they think that this kid is like the greatest kid in the world playing this video game, but actually it's an AI that's done become self-aware. So the gang, to the AI, his city is getting attacked every day. They playing a game every single second of the day. Somebody's attacking that city, right? Because imagine you be in the city and something blowing up, and somebody's dying literally every 2.5 seconds, right? So he's like, man, I'm gonna fight back. So he starts fighting back. That's the whole premise of the movie. But going back to this, what I'm trying to tell you about this whole thing about self-aware and artificial intelligence. So all the code like that is an AI or a robot that has AI in it, whatever, is electricity and code. Your bodies is based on electricity and code. Do you know that the human body is actually a battery? If y'all didn't know that, it's time science class. The human body, some people say that the human body actually can produce enough energy to like produce like a small town, like power it. That's why you have a circulatory system. Right. When somebody died, what do? They hit them with what? Electricity. And bring them where? So ruachs deal with electricity. That's why a ruach might come into a room, a demonic ruach, all of a sudden the lights start flashing. You might hear what they call snow on television, white noise. Shh. Say it again. Oh yeah, Ben Franklin. Right, getting struck by lightning. So ruachs move, they travel in water, but they also deal with electrical currents. Right? So you're talking about code. I told y'all this before. You are not analog, you are digital. You are not analog, you are digital. That's why they make viruses to kill you. Because a virus is nothing but something that's a code that's sent into your body to make you malfunction. That's why they create viruses in labs. That's why viruses are not naturally occurring in nature, but bacteria is. So when you're dealing with something like we talking about, when you plugged into this thing, for all we know that it could be a ruach in that video game. Could be a ruach in this metaverse, acting as an actual person. It's interesting, like I told you, look at Daniel, it says that they will mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they won't cleave to each other, just like iron is not mixed with miry clay. So even Daniel, when Daniel sees the whole, this last kingdom, he sees it as being this kingdom that's mingled with steel or iron, almost like there's some kind of like artificial connection to this. It's some kind of like seed mingling that's going on with this, right? So saying this to say, quite possibly, and again, ruachs can make machines go off. Do you know that's where the Gremlins came from? You ever seen the movie Gremlins? It was when I was a kid, man. Gremlins was like biggest movie in America. That and E.T. Right? So Gremlins ain't just a movie that they made up. The concept of Gremlins came from the Middle Ages. They used to call them ghouls. But in the modern term, it started like in Germany, like right before World War II. There was these demons they used to see they be in machines. There was these demons they used to be in machines. Look it up. They called them gremlins. Matter of fact, and during World War II, somebody used to paint pictures of gremlins on the side of their like bombers and stuff like that. Now you're going way down the rabbit hole. I'm trying to get you to see what's really going on. What you facing in this natural world, and this going to go into what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to recap, go back to the Yahusha code. So Yahusha's been dealing with me about all this. Because what we dealing with is, in this current construct, the lies and the deception is so strong. It's like a force field that keeps the people and the nation from connecting to that power because they can't really comprehend the reality of spiritual things. Like spiritual things become it becomes so far-fetched to them. But this is the thing though, it's not far-fetched to the people that rule this place at all. Who know about Jekyll Island? Where's Jekyll Island? So, Georgia-ish, South Carolina. Yeah, same place. Georgia and South Carolina, same place. Literally, at one point in time, Georgia is part of South Carolina. Saying it to say this. So Jekyll Island is a place, if you know the whole history of the Federal Reserve, right, which is not federal, right? The Federal Reserve is this federation of banks, basically cartels that muscle countries. They muscled the United States back in the 30s and 40s and took it over, right? That's the reason why the president himself had to get permission to go to the Federal Reserve. Yeah, you heard me right. The president has to get permission to go to the Federal Reserve. So saying this to say, the story goes behind the forming of the Federal Reserve in the United States is that allegedly it was J.P. Morgan, Chase, Rockefeller, and them, all the big names that you know that's with finance that was at this meeting. Now the people that was at this meeting, let's go along with the stuff that the Georgia Guidestones talk about, which is also Georgia. All the stuff go back to Georgia, South Carolina. The story is that there was a man that came there that the heads of it knew about, but nobody had never seen. They just heard of. And the way they talk about him is like he might have been a Ruach. Now, I wasn't there, so I can't confirm it. But what I do know is this, and I told you this go back to what the scriptures. We could look in the scriptures and we see even in Daniel that there was Ruachs associated with powers. That's why it's called principalities and powers, right? Even in Daniel, when he prayed and fasted, I don't know, so many days, Gabriel went to give him the message, but he said, I couldn't get here because I had to war with who? The Prince of Persia. So there was a Ruach that was ruling that territory. And before he can get there, Michael had to come and help him so he could take off and go and deliver that message to Daniel. Right? The thing about it is, when we look at this current situation, there are people that tell stories about that kind of stuff right now. There's people like Edward Snowden that was excommunicated from the United States. And then he talked about how the United States been working with these people called the tall whites. Edward Snowden worked for the NSA. Now he's out there hiding somewhere in some foreign country hoping that he don't get murked. Because he was revealing all kinds of secrets. At the highest level of this place, they are dealing with Ruachs. I did a teaching a while back about this. Yahusha started showing me what a Ruach is and how the deception is and this ain't even really my lesson about, but I'm talking about this right now. So about how strong this deception is, I'm trying to get you to see this barrier that's over your head. And he starts showing me like terminology and how they play games. Like they tell you that this thing they call it an extraterrestrial. Right? They say, oh no, these are extraterrestrials. You know what an extraterrestrial is? A Ruach. More specifically, a Malachim. A demon is not an extraterrestrial because they from here. Demons aren't extraterrestrials, they from here. Demons are the children of Nephilim seed that died on the flood that's roaming the earth. But the Malachim, they not from here. They not. In the fallen, they not from here either. They come back and forth, dealing with nations. That's why you'll see a nation, all of a sudden a nation would jump in technology like 70-something years ahead. And you're like, man, where did they get this technology from? All of a sudden, Germany was so far ahead of everybody in the world in technology. To this day, so German engineering is still better than pretty much anybody else engineering. Right? But during that time, during World War II, they was coming up with like stealth bombers in the 40s. They were so much ahead. I know I'm on Subhouse right now. They were so much ahead of America that America went over there after they had that tribunal. I forget what they called that thing. They had a name for it. It's a Jewish name. Anyway, they had that tribunal. They convicted them, and they brought all them to America. The Nuremberg trials. After they did that, they brought them all to America and put them to work here. Because America realized how far behind they were of Germany. And Germany just shot up out of nowhere with this technology. Then you go read what Hitler and them, they're talking about they getting it from Ruachs. You go listen to Tesla, he said he got it from Ruachs. Tesla at the time Tesla had 0-point energy. This dude was sticking light bulbs in the ground and powering them. This is the reason why your boy Elon Musk named his stuff Tesla. Dealing with Ruachs. Ruachs are real. And the elite know them. And know them personally. And at the highest levels, they've been dealing with this thing. So they knew, like, how do we keep power? How do we keep a stranglehold? Well, we got to put a dome over the chosen. They can't understand none of these things. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I didn't know who I was. No, not just knowing who you was. The understanding of you being connected to a true power. That's foreign to us. Even in the walk. This is the reason why we struggle with unbelief. Dawood didn't have no problem dealing with unbelief because he was raised in a culture that cultivated that in him. He knew that he the descendant of Yahusha and going all the way back generations. He knew he'd go all back to Yehuda. He knew the prophecies. That's why it's called culture. He was cultivated in it. So it wasn't far from him. This is the reason why even when Yahusha, that's why he said he thought it not robbery. To be like you, a lure. Like it ain't. Why? Because he knew he was cultivated in that. But we haven't been cultivated in that. And because of the separation of that, the spiritual things is almost like even when we grasp them, we're not fully grasping them. It's like we grasping it and we holding it, but we don't have it like locked down. And that's why we keep going in these cycles because we don't believe these things really exist. Shaul said we're looking like in the glass darkly and turn around and forget what manner of man we were. We'll hear a word. That's why I was talking to somebody about Aruka yesterday. Aruka was great, but nobody hardly applied it. It's just the truth. Let's be real. Let's be real, people. Let's be real. I'm being 100 with y'all. I love y'all. We in this together. I know because I did the council session with y'all after Aruka. We wrote down some books. Y'all don't even know where them books at. Them books in y'all closet. Praise Jehovah. Y'all still out here fighting and going forward, though. But the gist is I'm trying to get you to see is that even with that, that's how we are. It's like it is not a condemnation on nobody. It just that's what we are in this place because we weren't cultivated. And we're going to go back to that word cult. We weren't cultivated in that. And so because we weren't cultivated in it, we go in these phases. We be running good and fall off. We running good and fall off. We believe, we don't believe. We when something's going our way, we like, man, Yahuwah doing all this work. Something ain't going our way, like, man, I'm destitute, I know what I'm going to do. We just had these ups and downs all the time because of this dome, because that dome stripped us of true understanding of being connected to a power. Right? But the people who was in that, who was birthing that, they didn't even cross their mind because they knew. All of y'all know y'all Hebrews, but y'all don't go around. I'm telling you because I don't mean go around thinking this. It had to come back to my mind and have to hold on to that faith, that emunah. Y'all don't necessarily believe that, man, I'm like Moses descended. Man, I'm like Dawood's. We say it, but we don't go around walking like that's what the case is. We don't. Right? Why? Because that's the reason why they did that. They stripped that from you intentionally. It ain't just to not know who you are. It's that you won't return to the concept of the spirituality of your world. Let's keep going. So that's the reason why I keep telling y'all about the Yahusha code. Because the Yahusha starts doing these things intentionally to build up that emunah in you. Right? Because it's a greater blessing to do what we're doing. Yahusha says, blessed are those who did not see. Basically what that means is, blessed are those that were not planted here, but were still planted. Because it takes a greater level of imunah. That's basically what it boils down to. It's not like, oh, you suck. That's not what it is. It takes a greater level of imunah. Right? So we doing this is part of that greater works that we got to do. It's a greater work for us to do that. It's a greater work for you to just be walking around all of a sudden and then you hold on to some imunah that you're royalty. When you all been taught that you ain't nothing but a slave. Or that it's imunah to believe that that you literally are the son or the daughter of Yahuwah. And not in the Christian mindset where you just go and worship on a specific day and go home and forget about it. But that you're able to do things or call things down, bind things up, cast things out, and move in a way that you know for sure in your inward person, truth and inward parts, that this is who I am. Right? But so the thing about realities is shaped by your surroundings. So there's nothing around you that can remind you that that's who you are. You got to keep going back to the source and grabbing this. So that's why Yahusha laid this code out for us to be able to hold on to those words. So that thing will be cultivated in us. So we can come out of this dome. Because this is what's going to happen. Imunah is not going to be an issue once we come out of here. You either going to have it or you didn't. In that time, when we come out of here, it's going to be increased exponentially. They believe Moshe, but they didn't really, really believe Moshe until they saw that water split. After that, they said, oh, we different out here. We different. That's what's going to happen in this time period, in this place. So when we took out of here and set in order, it's going to be a double portion of imunah that you can build on. It's almost like a foundation that can't be shaken. You understand what I'm saying? So, but it goes back to this whole thing about us not necessarily saying we know who we are. That's one thing. Knowing that Yahusha is real, that's a whole other thing. But knowing and having full assurance and faith about your connection to that specific power, and that everything around you, not just you, everything around you is ruled by a spiritual authority. Let's keep going. So, again, Romans 8:29 says, for whom he did foreknow, he also did predestinate to be conformed to the image of his son. And this is why I keep telling you about how nobody knows the Father but the Son, and nobody knows the Son but the Father. Nobody knows the intimate details about this about him and vice versa, right? So, because once he's conforming you into that Son, everything that's needed in you to have that connection to that power and to see with eyes, to be able to see the spiritual world. Scripture says that right now we have eyes and don't see. We have ears and don't hear. That's why we can look at a mirror and forget who we are, because we didn't even see ourselves. Because we didn't even see ourselves. But Yahuwah knows who we are. Yahusha knows who we are because he birthed us in this time. Right? So now we have to be conforming to that image to be able to overcome the circumstances, to be uprooted and planted in good soil. Because we have been cultivated in unbelief. We have been cultivated in unbelief. Most of ours number one enemy is unbelief. I'm telling y'all, most of our issues stem back to the main thing is unbelief. Let's keep going. Matthew 11:25-27. I'm not going to read all these. We read these last time. And that time Yahusha answered and said, I think the O Alba of Shamayim in the rest, because they have hid these things. This is what he says. He hid these things from the wise and prudent, but has revealed them unto babes, even so, Abba, so if it seemed good in your sight. All things are delivered unto my Ab, and no man knoweth the Son but the Father. Neither no man knows the Father save the Son, and to whomsoever the Son will reveal him. So Yahusha is trying to build you in a manner where you be that person that reveals himself to somebody else. Right? And I want to go through this lesson all over again. We're going to hit this real fast. Deuteronomy 29:29. That's why I told you this is what Yahuwah had dealt me about. The secret thing. Everybody say secret things. The secret things that belong to Yahuwah our Lord, but the things which are revealed belong unto us and to our children, that we may do all the works of this Torah. So if there's a secret word. That's that cultivation. Right? There's a secret word, but it's not secret though. It's really plain. It's only secret to those who are not sons and daughters. It's just like the inner workings of your house, everybody in the house know it. It's not a secret. It's only secret to people that's not in the house. Man, I'm trying to speed through this so we can get to what we're talking about today. Because I don't want to be all day. I know y'all tired. All right? So let's go Galatians 4, 1 through 7. Now I say that the heir is, as long as he a child, different nothing from a servant, though he be master or Adonai of everything. Right? Let's go back to that emunah we got to connect to, and because we're gonna need that emunah to be cultivated. We're gonna need the emunah to be cultivated because we have to create the culture. Though he different nothing from a servant, though he be Adonai or master of all, he's under tutors and governors to a time appointed by Ab. Even so, we or the children were in bondage under the elements of the world. But now the fullness of time has come. Allure sent forth his son, not made of a woman, under the Torah. I told you that's Yahusha, but that's also you. Yahusha sent you forth in the same manner. If you his son and daughter, he birthed you under the Torah. He birthed you under the curse. To redeem those who are under the Torah, that he might receive the adoption of sons. This is why it says it's given to us the adoption, but also the glory, the Torah, the order of service, the promises, and whom concerning genealogy, Mashiach came. To redeem them under the Torah that we might receive the adoption of sons. But because you are sons, Allure has sent forth his Ruach into your heart, saying, Abba, Father. Right? I told you, that's not Abba, that's Abba Pater. It means Ab, my ancestor. Wherefore thou art no more a servant, but a son. If a son, then the heir through Mashiach. So again, we're going to speed this up because y'all get the context. I'm trying to get y'all, we talked about this last time, about the father and the son. And Yahusha being your father, and you becoming a son that must become a father. This is the reason why the scripture says that true emunah undefiled is this, that a man do what? Take care of the and the what? So he becomes a father to the and the widows. So the context is that now this son grows up and becomes a father, because that's what a son does. A daughter grows up and becomes a mother, because that's what a daughter does. This is how the family is established. This is how clan is established. This is how tribe is established, right? This is how the nation, this is how the kingdom gets established through that process. So Yahusha goes each individual person. I'm going to make this person my son. Once I make him my son, he's going to have my DNA. When I raise him up, he's going to draw sons unto him. But really that son is drawn unto him is really unto Yahusha. Just like how Abraham's son is also Daoud. Because Daoud is the seed of Abraham. It's through Abraham's faith that caused the chain reaction to be able to duplicate into the fullness of Daoud. Daoud was one of the first fulfillments of this prophecy. Because there really wasn't no kingdom until he ruled. You got Shaul, but during that time it wasn't settled. Y'all get what I'm saying? It wasn't until Daoud made his what? His at that time in the known world, he had a world empire. So the blessing that Yahuwah spoke to Abraham was to him. So it ended up being in Daoud because Daoud is him. That's his son. Because the son differs nothing from a father. And a father differs nothing than a son. All a father is a mature son. All an ima is a mature daughter. Or vice versa. You know what I'm saying? It's just that process. You have to mature. That's why I told you. It says that he gave us the adoption of sons. But you go look at that word adoption, it don't mean to adopt. That's a European concept. That word is like yosithemi or something like that. What it means is it means to place mature sons. A mature son will take on a wife and become a father. And then that wife was a daughter, now that becomes a mother, and they replicate. This is the process of Yahusha multiplying himself in the nation. That's how you have a whole nation of kings and priests, because a priest has to be initiated by a priest. John 1, 9 through 11. Whosoever transgresses abide not in the doctrine of Mashiach, he have not Lord. He that abideth in the doctrine of Mashiach have both what? The Father and the Son. Because it's both in him. If any of you come unto you and have not this doctrine, don't even bring them into your house. Don't get them, bid him Yahuwah speed. For all that that biddeth him Yahuwah speed is a partaker of his evil deeds. Right? So again, man, I'm going to read this real fast. John 15 through 16 and 19 through 20. For I've given you an example. See, this is where our minds get stuck at. Because because remnants of this captivity. Because these things seem foreign. How could I say that Mashiach is saying these things, but he's really saying about me? So Mashiach would say these things about himself, but what he's really doing is showing you a code. The code can't be revealed until the fullness of time. That's how codes work, right? This is the only reason why Matt-Yahu, Yehukanan, Marcus, right, Lucas, they writing these books, and they're like, man, they have like their own little notes in it. Y'all notice this? They'll say something like, well, Yahusha did this, and they say, oh, this is when the prophet said da-da-da-da-da. He fulfilled this when the prophet said da-da-da-da, right? Because what he's saying is, now I see the dots. Because up until that time, nobody put them dots together. It was over the fullness of time. Mashiach's death, burial, and resurrection, like, oh, this is what he was talking about. Okay, so first Abraham said this, and then later on, Yeshayahu said this. Yirmiyahu was saying the same thing. He's talking to us about the Comforter. Why are you talking about the Comforter? Oh, Yirmiyahu said he's going to send the Comforter. Why? Because the people are going to be in a certain situation. He said, I won't leave you comfortless. But Yirmiyahu said the people were comfortless. What happened to Yirmiyahu? The nation fell. The nation is going to fall again. But he promised that he will do what? Regather us. These are how these dots. That's the reason why the scripture says it's line upon line, precept upon precept. But they're writing lines and precepts in different times, in different eras, in different spaces. They writing stuff and not even knowing what it means. You just say, man, on the 5th day of Savan, Yahuwah told me, blah, 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 blah. And then he don't even know. It'd be a Malachim there. He'd be like, what does this mean? Malachim was like, hey, for so many days, this is going to happen, that going to happen. And then he just say, I get troubled and went to sleep. For real, he literally says that when I say, I got troubled and I went to sleep. He didn't have that revelation, but it was over the period of time. And then all of a sudden, you start connecting these dots. You're like, this is what this is. This is what that is. I had a conversation with one of my people, blood people, and they sent me this. I posted this thing, and it said, it had a syringe. It says, by thy pharmakia are all nations deceived. Right? And I just went about my business. So then, my people sent me this. They sent me a screenshot of that scripture, and it was like, FYI. I was like, what? I was trying to say, why did these? I was thinking about the thing, like, why did they send me this? I was like, well, let me go back. Maybe there's something I posted. So I went back and I posted, like, oh, gotcha. So they looked, and because they didn't see the word pharmakia, they thought I was wrong. Okay. So let me screenshot this with the Strong's Concordance, pharmacy, sorcery. Send it back. Right? So, and then, not too long after that, conversation fell apart, and that was that. But saying it to say, this is how we interact with people during this time. I actually lost my train of thought. I done said so much stuff. What's the last thing I said before I said that? Connecting the dots. Okay. All right. So we connect the dots, and then it go back to So the reason why they can't connect the dots, because those things are revealed to people that search them out. Because if you sit there, you understand what these words mean. It's clearly, and it spells out what's happening right now. So we look at that word. It says, for by all nations, all nations were deceived by heart. So they King James reads sorcery, looking in coordinates, it says pharmacy, pharmakia. So that thing could have never been fulfilled until today. I don't care what age it is. I don't care what church father. I don't care who they is. There's no place where they could have actually made that work. This is the first time in history that one nation, group of pharmacies, Moderna, J&J, Pfizer, took their pharmaceutical drugs and deceived the entire world with it. Had the entire world going through. I was like, man, it's only like 2 or 3 nations that had their own vaccine. If y'all notice that? It's only like I was like, man, everybody going through these same people? And then when you go, and then you go look at the other scripture. It talks about the horse, and he says he has a bow and no arrow. I was like, man, why he don't got no? Like he ain't throwing the bow at people. Trying to figure out why he ain't got no arrow for a long time. I look at that thing and said, that's crazy, because it almost seemed like he ain't got no power. Because why we have a bow, got no arrow? We got to go in the Greek. That word is not even. That word is not even bow. That word is toxin. Toxin. So how would this one nation go around with a toxin? And how would he deceive all nations through the pharmacy? That stuff, now we seeing these dots connect. You understand what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to get you to see. So in this time, Yahuwah is going to reveal those things to you through the testimonies. Because you're the sons and daughters. But people that's not the sons and daughters are going to send you a screenshot because they think it's sorcery. Y'all get me? Right? So let's keep going. Let's go to Mark 9. Mark 9, I'm going to read 1 through 13. And he said unto them, surely I say unto you that there be some of them that stand here that shall not taste death until they have seen the kingdom of the Lord come with power. After 6 days, Yahusha will take with him Kafir and Jacob and Yehukanan and lead them up to the high mountain apart from themselves, and he was transfigured. He showed them his eternal self. And his raiment became shining, exceedingly white as snow, and as no fuller on earth could white them. And they appeared to him Eliyahu and Moshe, and they were talking with Yahusha. And Kafir answered unto Yahusha, Master, if it be good for us here, let us make 3 tabernacles. I'm trying to figure out why he need 3 tabernacles, though. But anyway, one for thee, one for Moshe, and one for Eliyahu. For which not say, for they were all so afraid. And there was a cloud that overshadowed them, and a voice came out of the cloud saying, this is my son, beloved son, hear him. So think about this. They were like, 3 tabernacles. He was like, him. Y'all ever notice that? I read this before. I ain't put them 2 and 2 together. I'm like, man, 3 tabernacles? Tabernacles. Listen, this happened before in Yasharel. Daoud and Moshe had their own tabernacle. Moshe was dead, but they had a tabernacle in there with Levites in it, and then Daoud had his own order going. He said, so there's like 3 tabernacles. I'm like, why do they got one for Eliyahu? He's a prophet. But Yahuwah was like, nah, that's my son. Hear him. Right? Where we at? 8. And suddenly, after they looked around, they saw no man no more. They only saw Yahusha and themselves. And they came down from the mountain, and he charged they should tell no man what things they have seen till the Son of Man were risen from the dead. Stuff is wild right here, man. 10. And they kept themselves questioning one another, saying, what does the rising of the dead should mean? They didn't connect them dots. They knew it was something else, though. They understood it was another meaning to that. They can't say it until the Son of Man be raised from the dead. What are they talking about? 11. And he asked them, saying, why do the scribes say Eliyahu must come? First must come. And he answered said, Eliyahu coming first and restoreth all things. And now it's written that of the Son of Man that he must suffer many things. and be sought and not. But I say unto you that Eliyahu's already came. And they did whatever they wanted to with him, as it is written of him. And when it came, so these are two things that's interesting. It says, as it was written of Eliyahu. What scripture says that they will torture Eliyahu? He went up in the chariot. Did he not? Did Eliyahu die? 12. And he answered them and said, surely, I'm at 13. But I say unto you, that Eliyahu is came and have done whatsoever they listened to him, as it is written of him. And when he came to his disciples, he saw a great multitude and the scribes questioning them, right? So he talks about Eliyahu must first come. And then he says that everything has to happen, like these things, they killed him basically. They did whatever they want with him. He said, as it is written of him. Then he said, the Son of Man got to suffer many things. And the Son of Man also got to raise from the dead, right? So like, what are the things that he's saying? He said, as it is written of him. So I like my mind, I said, man, what prophecies talk about the suffering of the Son of Man, specifically by term? I ain't talking about like the scripture that talk about my beloved servant. And you go to Isaiah and find them scriptures. You know, he was bruised for our iniquities and all that kind of stuff, right? He says the Son of Man, use the terminology. When they use the terminology Son of Man, it's very specific, right? So like, what is he getting that from? And again, let's look at this. And he answered and told him, Eliyahu first, coming first and restored for all things, how is written of the Son of Man, that he must suffer and be said at naught. So I was like, man, where the scripture that says he must suffer many things? So looking at this thing, I was like, man, what things did it say suffer? So I started looking it up. Like, and we know about the servant, right? But what about the Son of Man? And it was scripture after scripture after scripture. I'm just going to read some of these things. Some of them are just leading up to other chapters, but just listen. And he said unto me, Son of Man, stood upon a feet, and I will speak unto thee. And he said unto me, Son of Man, I will send thee to the children of Yahusha, a rebellious nation that have rebelled against me, and their fathers, they transgressed me even this day. Thou Son of Man, be not afraid of them, neither afraid of their words, though there be briars and thorns be with them, and dwell among scorpions. Be not afraid of their words, and be dismayed of their words towards a rebellious house. But thou, Son of Man, what shall I say? I hear what I say unto thee. Be not thou rebellious like what? Moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, eat thou the finest roll and speak of the house of Israel, right? And he goes on in 3. He said unto me, Son of man, cause the belly eat, fill the balls with his roll. And then I did eat, and my honey was filled with sweetness. And he said to me, Son of man, get thee into the house of Yahusha, speak these words to him. Moreover, he said to me, Son of man, all words I shall speak to thee, receive in their heart and hear in their ears. Why? Because it was a rebellious house. 17, Son of man, I made thee a watchman to the house of Israel. Therefore, hear the words of my mouth and give them a warning from me. Just keep going back to these warnings and about rebellion. But thou, Son of man, behold, the words they shall put bands upon thee. That happened to him. And they shall bind thee with them, and thou shalt not go out among them. Remember, even Yahusha said, it's not my time yet. For chapter 4, thou, Son of man, take thee a little towel and lay it before thee and patrol thee upon the city, even in Jerusalem, because that was the time that Yahuwah had showed Ezekiel about the destruction of Jerusalem. That's the same thing that Yahusha had relayed to them. Moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, behold, I will break off the bread in Jerusalem, and they shall eat bread by weight, and they should with care, and they shall drink water by measure and with astonishment. 5. But thou, Son of man, take thee a sharp knife with thee as a barber's razor, and cause it to pass over thy head and upon thy beard, and the balances the weight and divide the hair. Somebody brought this out earlier. Who said that? Who read? I think it was Yosef. Son of man, set thy face toward the mountains of Israel and prophesy against them. And thou, Son of man, thus says Yahuwah, Lord, unto the land of Yahusha, as the end is come upon the four corners of the land. It's a lot of commandments to the Son of man, right? And they said to me, Son of man, lift thy eyes now toward the north, lift thy eyes towards the north, and beheld the north gate of the image of jealousy, which is in the entry. That's when Yahuwah had showed Ezekiel about the abominations they was doing inside of their house, inside of the temple, and act like they was worshiping Yahuwah. Ezekiel 11. They said to me, Son of man, these are the men that devise mischief and give wicked counsel in the city. Therefore prophesy against them, O Son of man. Son of man, thy brother, even thy brother, the men of thy kindred in the house of Israel, wholly they are given unto the inhabitants of Jerusalem, have said, get you far away unto Yahuwah, and give us this land to a possession. Son of man, thou dwellest in the midst of a rebellious house. which have eyes to see and see not. They have ears to hear and hear not, for they are a... Therefore, son of man, prepare these stuff for the move and remove them in their sight, and thou shalt remove them far from one place to another in their sight, that they might consider, though they be a son of man. Have not the house of Israel, the rebellious house, said unto thee, what doest thou? Son of man, eat thy bread with quaking and drink thy water and trembling and carefulness. Son of man, what is the proverb that you have in the land of Yahusha, saying, the days are prolonged and every vision faileth? So the prophecies, the suffering of the Son of Man, we know about the scripture that talks about the servant, the suffering servant, right? Isaiah, which talks about him being bruised for our iniquities. He did all those things also. But the prophecies of the Son of Man deal with the word that's given and him being rejected. Scripture, that's why scripture says he came into his own and his own did what? That's the reason why. Why? Because no man knows the Son but the Father. And nobody knows the Father save the Son, and whoever the Son reveals the Father to. But they are a rebellious house. This is the suffering that we're dealing with right now. Because a lot of us ain't been bruised for nobody's iniquities and took no stripes.